All right, we're sitting down with Samuel Oram-Jones on another episode of Athlete POV. We're excited to have him on. He has a crazy career so far, and I can't wait to hear all he has to say. Samuel, what's going on, man?
Hey Charlie, thank you for having me, man. I'm glad to be here.
Of
Glad to
course.
be here. It's my pleasure.
So the most interesting thing that I found out about you is that you're from England, right? And then you were a race car driver, and then we're at Vanderbilt, USC. You got to tell me, how did this all happen? How did you start playing football? Just give me the whole backstory all summed
Yeah,
up.
it's a real wild story. So I used to do motor racing when I was younger, from the age of 8 to 18. So that took up most of my life, especially with sport. I was pretty good in karting, and I did some stuff in cars. I was with McLaren for the MTA program for a bit of time, and I did some work with Red Bull on a simulator. And I did some stuff when I was at the BMW Talent Cup, which was really cool. I was about 13 at the time, so I was one of the youngest guys on that program
Wow.
in Formula BMW. And then I also did some stuff in Formula Ford and Formula Renault. When I got to like 18, time to focus on education, stuff like that, which is
Mm,
kind of some decisions that were made by people more important than myself. And so I had to go to university. So I went to Durham in the UK,
right.
which is it's like an equivalent of like a Yale or it's like an Ivy League,
Mm,
similar. We call them Red Bricks or Russell Groups in the UK. So it's a nice academic university. Go there, get your degree, do well. But I've done sport my whole life, so I kind of like to go from. I mean, you probably know how it feels to go from like playing football, especially the guys in this country. They play high school football, and it comes to an end, and they're just like, whoa, like
that was me. Yes.
my whole life, like football, 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 baseball, basketball. Get out of the end of high school, like, and not playing anymore. I kind of just didn't know what to do with myself.
Right. Yeah.
So
In
yeah,
in
I'll go on, continue.
for me in high school, after football and baseball that I played, I figured best decision for me was college and then work on a
Yeah,
more business sort of aspect.
yeah,
This exactly, athletic
yeah.
minds.
No, no, absolutely. Podcasting, media. I mean, podcasting is huge right now. So like, you're in a fantastic space. But like, as you know, I'm sure you play that last game of football, like your high school game, and you're like, wow, like I really am not playing football anymore. This is crazy. It was like that for me as a racing driver. Except I didn't know when my last race was, so I kind
Mm.
of just was racing, and then all of a sudden it was like, okay, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. And I was like, oh, sweet. Like, I guess that's that. There was a time when I was younger, when I was like 15, where you couldn't have told me I was not going to be a racing driver. Like, I would have told you there's no way, there's nothing else I would ever do in my life other than.
Mm.
So when I got to 18, and then I couldn't do that anymore. That hit me pretty hard. And then randomly, in the universities in the UK, we have these things called fairs. Like, so you can go
Right.
and sign up for all the clubs. Like, all of the sports clubs are there trying to recruit guys to come in for the next years, and all of any club you could think of. Like the the Oriental Art Club is there, and the Xbox Club
I
is
got
there.
you.
Like,
Yeah.
everyone's trying to like recruit guys. Pay the subs, etc. In the US, you guys just have fraternities
Right.
or sororities, and people just rush for that. But in the UK, we don't have that. So you like, oh, go join a club, and so that you can do socials, etc., etc. I'm walking around randomly, like, just no. I don't know what American football is. I've never played it in my life. I've never played contact sport like that, really. I used to do a bit of running for county back down in Milton Keynes, um, or Buckinghamshire where I was, but never have I played like a contact sport like that. A lot of people ask me if I played rugby. I never played rugby. I wasn't like maybe a school like PE or something, a physical education class, but otherwise, no. I just randomly looked at American football, and it was between football and baseball that I was like, I'm gonna sign up and go to one of these tryouts. And the football guys had their music playing and all that. I was like, oh, these guys seem like pretty cool guys. Like, I'm gonna just sign up for this randomly. I've never seen what it is.
And how
I
old
turn
were
up to
you
the
at this?
trial.
Excuse me. How old were you at this time?
I was 18, just turning 19.
So your first experience playing football was after your 19th birthday.
My first game was after my 19th birthday. The first
That
time I ever touched the football on a field, like in a game, was after my 19th birthday. Yeah,
that's crazy. I've been
and
playing football since I was maybe 4 years old, and
yeah,
like
Pop Warner, all of that.
the little
Yeah, yeah,
kids, and you picked it up, and now running back at USC.
yeah. It's definitely a wild one. Everything happened really, really fast for
I can
me. So like
imagine.
I picked it up at Durham, and then I went to the tryout, which I never didn't go to because I had some work for a family business which got cancelled, which allowed me to go to the tryout. I did the tryout, and there were two running backs that were there. There were scholarship guys, One of them was called Saitu Smith. He went on to be a coach, and he was at the Browns for a time. The other guy was John Taggart, and he played professionally, internationally as well. And he played at Lincoln University in the U.S. And Saitu played at Harvard. And they were like, "Oh, you got some good hip mobility. You should come play running back. Come with us. We'll take you under our wing. Come with us. We'll teach you some stuff through this year." And then the first few weeks of practice, we get into game one. I'm like, cool. I'm just gonna sit behind these guys, maybe learn the game a bit. This will be sweet. I'll learn a thing or two. Da, 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 da. Maybe I'll play next year because like Durham University bring a lot of scholars. So
Right.
if there's a scholar at your position, they're playing ahead of you. Like you're not playing, this guy's playing.
Right. Right. I know what you mean.
Especially if they've flown them in from the United States. Usually it'd be an NCAA athlete, so they're playing. And then game 2 or 3, uh, one of the running backs, John Taggart, really unfortunate, takes this really nasty knee contact, and his ACL is torn, so he's done.
Man.
And then Saitu has to step in and play linebacker because another linebacker's down. And now all of a sudden I'm the running back for the Durham Saints in the UK. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm doing. And I remember scoring a touchdown in our first game against the Stirling Klansmen, who was like, they were our big rival. And they're a team from Scotland. And they come out to the games with a big sword and they stick in the ground. Yeah, it's not a joke. They're big boys as well. A lot of them go and play professionally in Europe after they play at Sterling. And so I scored in that game, and I was like, okay, this is fun. Like I want to do this. And the camaraderie and all that stuff. We had such a good time at Durham. It was crazy. And I was rotating in at running back that year with Saitu, the guy from Harvard, and we went and won the vice national championship. We lost in the national championship game. We missed a field goal, whatever. And then the next year, I was just training in the off season. I was like, I'm just going to focus on football. I put on like 20 pounds. I
There
was
you go.
like, this is what we're going to do right now. And then the next year, I'm the star and I rotate as well with another American scholar that we brought in. And then I scored the game-winning touchdown in the national championship game. And after that, I was like, right, I want to go play in the US. Like I want to go play for real.
Right. So now tell
Because
me.
I remember.
Go ahead.
Oh, go on, continue.
I
I
was.
was gonna say, I remember like in the summer that we won the national championship game. I'm like, now I'm really into football. I watch all the college football games. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. College football is insane. And I went to San Francisco on a work weekend, and there was a game happening in Berkeley. And I remember watching on TV. Everyone was going crazy. Everyone, Berkeley this, Berkeley that. I was like, that's so cool. And I brought like a Cal Berkeley shirt, like a Bears shirt, because I was like, this would be insane. Like, you imagine like being on a team out here would be ridiculous. I'm still like 20 at the time, like, oh, this would be so insane. And then just a month and a bit ago, so a few weeks ago, like 5, 6 weeks ago, I was at the game as the away as an away team running back in the stadium. So I was like, this is pretty insane when I think about it.
Definitely. So now, what was the so how did you tell me about Vanderbilt? Because I know there was this story I read online. There was this article about you like met up with the head coach at like one night by his car, and you like told him something about you just wanted to have a tryout.
Yeah,
Tell me
so
about that story.
Vanderbilt was tough. So after the decision was made to go to the US, my family were happy for me to go and try and play football in the US if I was going to do it with education. And I proposed, look, Vanderbilt University has the world's #1 financial mathematics masters right now anywhere, according to the Times Higher Education stuff. And we're like, okay, cool. Like we're happy for you to go do this if that's the case. So I go there and I got out of the car from the airport. So I got in the car from the airport. I went straight to the facility, the football facility. I've been emailing these guys like any email I can get with a college coach's name on it. Like I'd emailed every coach in college football to see if anyone come back. Like hand on my heart, if you're a college coach and you look in your emails, you type my name in there. There's an email somewhere with me, my highlight tape, any of that. Like, hey coach, I'm this guy from the UK running back. Obviously, I'd emailed all the Vanderbilt guys. I'm from the UK. They don't want to hear that. They're like, you probably play rugby or something. This is the SEC. Like, you can't just pull up to the SEC. They like, you can't just do that. And so after I went there, I met this guy Corey Phillips, who just happened to be leaving the facility at the time. And I told him like, oh, I've been emailing you guys. I'm a British guy. I'm a national champion in the United Kingdom just a year ago, and I finished my degree. I've come over here to bring some value to this team, and I promise you I'll bring value to this team. I'd love to talk to you guys just as a walk on. He said, yeah, cool, come back Monday. So I come back Monday. This is a Friday, so I'm like, oh, I gotta wait the whole weekend. Let's get into full camp. I come back Monday. I get to the front desk. They call down this guy called Austin Everson, who was the director of player personnel. So he's in charge. Oh, this guy goes down. This guy comes in. Da, 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 da. He says, we'll take a look at your tape and come back to you. What's your email address? Email me everything over. So I leave. I email him everything. Da, da, da. A few days later, he's like, okay, cool. I'll see you on this day, because I'm just bugging him with emails. Like, yeah, think anything? Da, da, da. I come back. He's like, yeah. So this is the deal. We have everyone we need in our team right now. Maybe we'll give you a call in February when we do just generic tryouts. And I was like, oh, disaster. At this point in time, I couldn't tell my family, I couldn't tell anyone like that this had just happened, because it just undermined this entire experience. And I don't like to admit failure, especially not in this kind of situation. But the tryouts in February never happened. That was never a thing. So it was more of a just go away. So at this point, I'm like, okay, this is tough. uh, I end up going to this Titans scrimmage, which is at the Nissan Stadium the following day. And I'm like, maybe if I work my way around, I could speak to one of the coaches on the Titans and just completely
You're
bypass
talking
this.
about the Tennessee Titans, NFL,
The
right?
Tennessee Titans, yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, I can just bypass this college deal if college coaches don't want to talk to guys that are not from their country. So the scrimmage goes on, whatever. It's really cool. It's my first experience seeing American football in person, like in America. So Mariota comes out. He's the QB at the time, and Tannehill, and everyone's going crazy there. Anyway, end of the game, all these guys are going around signing autographs and stuff like that. And there's a section that's specific to guys that are speaking to Coach Vrabel, Mike Vrabel, who's the head coach of the Titans. And I'm like, if I can just weasel my way down, maybe I could talk to Coach Vrabel for a second. He's got. I managed to get to this section. I'm like leaning over the banister to try and talk to him. He's just signing stuff, and then everyone's so loud, so he can barely hear. And I'm like, Coach, can I have 20 seconds of your time? And he didn't hear me. I said it again. And he's like, yeah, what's up? And then I explained my situation briefly. I just said, like, I'm a kid from the UK. In my opinion, I'm the best player. I'm the national champion. I'm the best player in my position from my country. How can I get from where I am to where your guys are? And he's like, oh man, you just need some college tape. And I'm like, sweet. And he's like, can you go to college? Can you play in college? I said, yeah, I go to Vanderbilt. He said, okay, cool, go play there. And I said, that's easier said than done. I've been speaking to coaches, it doesn't work like that. And he's like, you need to speak to Coach Mason. And I was like the head coach, that's a tough deal to speak to the head coach like that. He said, you need to speak to Coach Mason. And I went, thank you, coach. That's it. I didn't say anything else. He very clearly gave me the best instructions he could. Speak to
Wow.
Coach Mason. And I was like, thank you, coach. And I literally just turned around. Everyone else is still trying to get autographs, get stuff signed. I just turned around and walked straight out of the stadium. Was like, okay, right, this is the plan. I've got to figure out a way of infiltrating this USC, not USC, this SEC facility, which is way easier said than done. This is like you can't just walk in
Right.
to the
Yeah.
front door and also speak to the head coach. You can't get the head coach's contact details. If you email his support staff, they're not going to look at that. It's just going to go straight in the trash. So I'm like, oh, this is a hard deal. So they started full camp practice. And at this point, I'm like, okay, time is really knocking on for me now because they're practicing. This is bad. So I used to figure out different ways of like peeking over the fence that I could see their practices at. Because at Vanderbilt, the practice field is kind of below sea level. So everything around it is perched up. So if you climb certain trees or like go to certain gates, you can kind of peek through and
Oh my
see
God.
practices. And I've got so many videos of like me just like watching practices. I knew a bunch of plays before I got on the team because they screen it over the tannoy for certain things. Coach Mason is. So I knew what some plays were. I knew what
Okay.
16, 17 was, indie right, indie left. Da, da, da. I knew all the different plays were before I got to the team. Uh, and I'm trying to sneak my way through, and I figured out one night what exit the players would leave through, and what exit the coaches would leave through, and where Coach Mason was roughly. So I go back, I go train at the public gym. We called it the Rec, or the Recreational Center of Vanderbilt. I trained there the whole year. I trained at the public gym. I'm trying to make sure I'm staying in shape just in case I get this opportunity. Um, I go and watch practice. Practice finishes. I go around to where the we call it the Star Walk. The bottom of the Star Walk is because all the players come out there after practice. And I'm like, I'm just gonna stay here. Like I have class at like 7 the next day. I'm just gonna stay here until the head coach walks out. because underneath the entry to the stadium, there's this AMG, like this nice, like this AMG G wagon. It's a lovely car, and I'm like, who could possibly drive this apart from the head coach, Coach Mason? So I go around to the other side. 25, 30 minutes later, players come in, shower, etc., etc. Players start leaving, and I walk past. I like look past them. Everyone just walks past me, like just looks at me and just carries on walking. So they're thinking, who is this guy? Um, they just walk past me. They go off. Then some coaches start leaving, and I know who they are because I've looked up this roster. I'm like, hey, I know who that coach is.
You're matching photos with names.
Yeah, so faces. Yeah, yeah, I know who they are. So like, I
Wow.
know my coach Tim Horton, the running back coach, comes out. I'm like, okay, well, I know who that is. He walks out. He walks in one direction, and then like 20, 30 minutes passes. At this point, it's like 10 o'clock. Players and guys have been cycling out. I've been here for like 2.5, 3 hours. I'm thinking, oh, did I miss him? There's no way. I'll stay here until 12 because the car is still here. But there's no way I missed him. And then bang, like just out of the blue, 10 o'clock, I just hear the door open. Out walks Coach Derek Mason. There's no one around. It's like 10 o'clock at night. It's pitch black outside. He's walking, and I'm like, Coach Mason, can I have 60 seconds of your time? He's got a really deep voice. Oh no, man! Like, I gotta go home. I ain't got time for this. Like, I'm up at 6. Da, da, da. I said, I promise you, if you give me 20 seconds of your time, it'll be worth your while. And he says, what do you need? And I said, I explained my situation the same way I did to Coach Vrabel, really briefly. I'm a British champion. I play running back. I came over here to the States to bring value to this team, and I promise you, if I can, I just need an opportunity to show you that I can do that. And he said, you need to speak to Austin Everson and the guys, and Eric Lammers in recruitment. I said I did, and he said, oh, what did they say? And I told him, well, they told me very politely to go away, effectively. And he said, look, I've got no time for this right now.
Hmm.
Come back to my office tomorrow morning at 7. I'll see you. I'm like, thank you, coach. Sweet. And he just walks off. I'm like, yes. I'm going
Score.
Yes. Let's go. I'm like, yo, okay, success. Like, I knew if I could just get a toe in the door, that's all that would be necessary. And so he walks off. I come back at 7 the next day. I'm waiting in the foyer. Guys are walking past. Like, who's this random kid like sitting in the foyer? I get called into Coach Mason's office. He sits there and he's like, "Look, I've reviewed your tape. I know you spoke to a couple teams out there, and I know you did what you did in the UK. But here's the deal: a lot of people think they can play in the SEC, but they can't. A lot of people think they can play in the United States, and they can't. Having said that, here's the deal: we're going to give you a tryout. We'll see how you do, and we'll take it from there."
Wow.
But having like, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is insane." Fantastic. He said, get everything sorted with Eric Lammers, eligibility and all that stuff sent off, and we'll see. So I'm like, yes, let's go. Finally, this ball is rolling. I thank him for his time. I'm off. I go back to the gym. I send everything I need to all of the recruitment guys. I'm just training. I finally get this tryout, it's the day before the first game of the season. We played Georgia at the time.
Oh.
So it's a big game, and all the guys are doing their walkthrough on the Friday at a place called the Rec, which is the indoor center. They're all doing their walkthrough, and then after the walkthrough, I get my tryout. Usually a tryout is just I've seen one at USC, just a bunch of strength coaches and
Right.
maybe a couple quality control guys watching. I've seen what trial looks like. What I had was not a tryout at all. It was like I had I think in total like maybe 17, 16 coaches watching. It was like an NFL workout. And I
Wow.
ran, and to this day, I've never run as many drills in my life, running back drills. I ran every running back drill that you could possibly do, like twice in a row, just back to back. And after every single rep, the coach would turn back to me and be like, "You good?" And I'd be like, "Yes, sir." Like I'm sweet, yes, sir. But
Wow.
inside, I'm gassed. I'm just
They're trying to see if your stamina probably is there.
It, well, there's that, but like another coach had told me later on in the year, they're just trying to break me, to be honest. Like, because I kept emailing them and I wasn't taking no for an answer. They were just trying to get me to be like, let's get this kid to just leave us alone, kind of thing.
Well, if you keep trying, they can't put you away forever. I mean, the credentials you have and the persistence of you keep trying, that's literally, this is like, for everyone watching, this is literally what not stopping and succeeding looks like the
Yeah, I
situation.
mean,
Wow.
I didn't want to take no for an answer. And then like even when I did get called into the team, so I heard nothing from them. They just shook my hand at the end of the trial and said, "Hey, cool, we'll be in touch." Didn't like nothing like that. Just nothing. Oh, good job. Nothing like that. Just walked off. Just said, "Yeah, thanks for your time. We'll be in touch." I got called into the team and they told me like, "Okay, here's the deal. Like, you're not going to dress. You're not going to have an opportunity to play. You're not going to be able to use the training room. You're not going to be able to use the weight room. You're not going to be like listed on the roster, nothing like that. Well, you're going to be on the roster like unofficially or officially, but you're not going to be in any of the pictures or anything like that at all. You're just going to be here and you're going to work out every day and you're going to be in the scout team and that's it." And at that point, I'm like, well, this is the only opportunity I have. I have to take that deal. Well, it doesn't sound like the best deal in the world, but for me at the time, I'm like, I'm part of an American football team. That
Right.
was the goal.
Okay.
And
So now, next phase. You're at Vanderbilt. You're on the team, but you're on
yep.
the scout team, say on the side, not really affiliated, like you just said. But so now the season progresses, and now
Mm-hmm.
how does like I saw you entered transfer portal. How did that
Mm-hmm.
work? And then I saw how you spent like an off season in Florida training with like Frank Gore,
Yeah.
who also trains in Florida, like at Miami. That's
Yeah.
where he went. How did that go, and where did USC come into the picture now?
So I had played out the year at Vanderbilt, and by the end of the year, I'm winning our, scout team player of the week on offense, special teams, da 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 da. And I spoke to the coaches, and they were like, honestly, you have a real true shot of playing this coming year if you stay here and you play another year. We feel you're good enough to play, etc., etc.
At
I get
Vanderbilt.
into at Vanderbilt,
Okay.
I get into spring practice, and there's a new offensive coordinator comes in. We're on a new script, and as is the case many times when you have the new guys come in, they know who their guys are and they're going to play their guys. Da, 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 da. And
Hmm.
it very quickly became apparent whatever had happened to me the previous year at Vanderbilt was simply going to be a complete repeat for this coming year. You're not going to play. If there was, we ran before it got cut off for COVID, maybe 70 plays on offense to like get the guys into it. Doesn't matter if they're running the wrong way. Guys could have fumbled the ball, ran the wrong way, dropped the ball. Da, 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 da. Maybe there were 70 plays to get started. There was only 5 running backs at the time, and I was involved in 2 plays. So it was very obvious to me. Like as we progress, okay, yeah, cool. I see exactly what's happening here,
Hmm.
and I need to play here. So it's not enough to simply just come here and as you move closer to the goal, that you push the goal further away. At one point, I would have just taken being on the team
Right.
all day.
But as you
But as you're
get,
on the team
you
and you're
have
like,
to
I can play this game. I'm
step
thinking
up.
the goal becomes further. I can really play at the highest level. So one of my teammates, Keyshawn Vaughn, was a running back. He plays at the Bucks now. Great
Right.
running back. He had gone and done his draft prep at Bomberio's, which is a really famous draft prep and football training facility, and they train a lot of basketball guys and baseball guys as well down in Davie in Florida. So I'm like, I'm gonna fly down there as soon as the COVID
Wow.
restrictions got announced and we knew we couldn't practice anymore. I booked my flight to Florida before I left the locker room. And I was like, I'm going there tomorrow. So on a Wednesday, I remember we got called in and they said practice is cancelled indefinitely because of COVID outbreak. And on Thursday morning, I was in Florida training.
Wow.
And
So
because
that
of the, yeah,
so that
it was
that
very quick.
connection to Keyshawn Vaughn got you to where
Well,
in
Keyshawn didn't get me in the facility, but
oh,
he simply went to the facility, and I had taken a look at what he was doing. And I said he's obviously going there to improve. I took a look into what Bomberio's was and said, look, there's a bunch of pro guys that train down here. Maybe if I go, I can simply see what they
okay,
do,
okay.
and that
Yeah.
will work. So I go down there the following day, the following morning. I'm there running back training in the morning. We spoke to the guys here, and they were really kind in allowing me to train with their pro groups immediately. Uh, and all the running backs are together. I get there, I look to my right, it's like Frank Gore, Devin Singletary, LaShawn McCoy,
Wow.
Dante Moncrief, like Tyreek Hill. All these guys are at practice. I'm like, oh, okay, these guys are dogs, like all these guys. And
Um
and I just kept my head down. I didn't want to say anything to anyone. Like I didn't want to be, oh, hey, how's it going? I'm a big fan, all that. Didn't want to suck up to anyone. I'm just going to get my head
business.
down and work. And
Business.
maybe they respect that. And I suppose like Frank Gore, I was really fortunate. He took me under his wing in that first off season, and again last year when I went back. I guess he just respected that I was just there just to work hard, and that's pretty much it. And I got a lot better during my time there, and realized the Vanderbilt stuff wasn't going to work out. So I entered the transfer portal, and spoke to a few teams, and in the end, it came down to preferred walk-ons at either Florida or USC, and it was decided it was in my best interest to go to
Wow.
USC, and so I ended up in LA at USC with one of my good friends and teammates from Vanderbilt, Mo Hassan, who is now recovering from injury. He might be the starter there this year.
So quick question. Did Frank Gore, when you were training with him, did he ever ask you like, hey, what's your story, like where what like your about you? Did he ever ask about you?
Oh, of course, yeah, no. Me and Frank hang out all the time. Like last year and stuff when we was training football together. Yeah, he knows everything.
Right. Okay.
He
No.
respects the grind. He himself has suffered several injuries, and teams didn't want to take him seriously when he was in high school and stuff. So he understands like the grind and just
Right. Right.
working hard. And believe me when I tell you, like anyone thinks that I work hard, there is no one that works harder than Frank Gore in the world at the sport that he does. I promise you, the guy's insane.
100%. So
Insane.
next thing, you're at USC. You decide instead of Florida, USC.
Hmm.
You get there and you just finished up your second season playing with them, right?
Just now, yeah.
Right. So now, where does it stand now? Because I saw on Instagram you going eligible for the NFL draft. Where does that stand right now?
I'm eligible for both the NFL and CFL draft. I could also play in the USFL. That would be legal, and in Europe. I've spoken to several European teams, so if playing professionally in Europe is what's best for me, I could do that. I'm hoping I can announce something soon with regards to combines that I will be going to in North America, which I guess at the time of this being posted, I may have posted about, etc., etc. But um, I finished out at USC last year. It was very tough to try and get into a playing position because, like I said, a lot of coaches bring in guys, especially when you bring in transfers or you have scholarship guys that are there. You know who you're going to play. I last year I got voted for the award for Offensive Scout Team Player of the Year. In my opinion, as a walk on there, that is the best possible result I could achieve in my circumstances. A lot of guys that are walk ons at certain
Right,
universities
right.
will know like you're a walk on, you're not playing, and that's that. Like it's as simple as that. Um, what I got done there. The next thing for me is to try my luck, especially at the pro level. I feel like if I can get my foot in the door anywhere, I believe I will make it work. And all I want to do is play football and have fun with it. I will go and play professionally for a team for free if that needs to be the case.
So the next big thing of your whole entire career, how do you stay so positive? You're smiling throughout this whole thing, talking.
Oh man,
How do you how do you, how do
I
you
can't
keep the
express
energy up?
I can't express how fortunate I am to be in this position. I got fantastic support from my family my entire life to do sports. Like, I could die tomorrow and be like, I had a fantastic run. That was the yeah. Like I could have no complaints. So for me, the pressure and grind that working this hard is to try and achieve something that hasn't been achieved by anyone before. No one's played in the UK and came over here and had gone through these tribulations of no coaches want to talk to you, coaches telling you go away, etc., etc., or being a racing driver and then having that come to a very abrupt end. For me, it's a privilege rather than a tribulation because I'm fortunate to be in this position. I know there's probably several thousands of young guys in the US or in the UK who would love to have the opportunity to run out onto the field at USC as a football Trojan and the the car and stuff. That would be a dream come true. At a time for me, that would have been a dream come true. And I'm always happy to be
Wow.
in a situation I'm in. But the
Wow.
closer I get to achieving certain goals, the further I push a goal away. If I'm fortunate enough to sign for a professional team that is not in the NFL, I will simply push the goal further and I'll say I should be playing in the
Wow.
NFL.
This to everyone watching, this is what committed looks like. Like this man sounds like he will do anything to step foot on a football field.
Yeah,
That is I respect that so much. The dedication from all you just explained and been through for the past half hour. That's absolutely amazing. The final thing I just want to ask you is
of course.
if you have any advice to somebody else trying to chase something, whether it be sports or whether it be something else. Do you have any advice to someone trying to reach a goal that doesn't seem maybe attainable as maybe your situation was back when you started? What would you say
Mhm.
to somebody similar to yourself, say 2, 3 years ago?
Oh, that's easy. Go out and do it. Go out and do it. Like a lot of people are, this task is so daunting. Can I do this? Can I do that? Da-da-da. Go and do it. You go and do it, and you just say, I'm gonna do it regardless. That's it. I've had so many people when I was in the UK here ask me, when are you gonna just give up on that and come back home, or when are you gonna give up racing when you're a racing driver? When are you gonna do this? When are you gonna just go out and do it? If you want to do something and you want to achieve your goal, just go do it. Because believe me, like if you set your mind to stuff like that, even if you don't reach where you are, you shoot for the stars, land on the moon, kind of thing. You can achieve a lot more than if you're too afraid to try.
I'm blown away by this. This is probably one of the most well thought out, well situated interviews, that most positive advice, craziest story. So I thank you for coming on. This has been great.
Oh, no. You're far too kind. It's been my pleasure.
Wow. Yeah. So OJ, thank you for coming on, man. We appreciate you. I know the viewers that listen this far up to here towards the end are gonna be really appreciative too, and I hope everyone enjoyed this absolutely outstanding story that isn't over yet.
No, I truly hope not. It's been my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me on. If anyone, wants to get me, I'm SamOJ97 on Instagram and Samuel Oram-Jones on Twitter, and I'm sure Charlie will throw his stuff out. Your podcast listeners, feel free to hit me up. Anyone in the UK has any questions and wants some help, I'm always for guys from the UK coming over and playing in the US. Believe me when I tell you, there's so many dogs in Europe and the United
I
Kingdom that
bet.
can play at Division One in
Yeah.
the United States. There's so many that just I don't know if they haven't had the opportunity or they think the opportunity is not there for them that could really play here. Some ways down to help with anything like that.
All right, man. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you very much, Charlie, and
Of
yourself.
course.
My pleasure.